the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original eSport racing game. This is iRacing.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Turn 3 Racing Network. As tonight, we are here in the desert. We're smack dab in the middle of nowhere, also known as Las Vegas. We're at the Bullring of Las Vegas. Thank you very much for joining me here tonight. My name is K.R. Stolfus, and in the booth with me is the unlucky Canuck, some guy named Kelly Dahl. I don't know why I introduced him. Kelly, how you doing tonight?
I mean, I was doing great until I found out that our friendship was a lie.
What? No, it's not a lie. It's based off of hugs and maple syrup.
Yeah, well, getting back to it, I am excited about tonight's race. Watching the practice has been interesting. I mean, it's called the Bullring because it is a bullring. It's an extremely short track. You get on the throttle coming out of a corner, and then about 2 seconds later, you're off the throttle getting on the brakes because that next corner is coming right up, and they are extremely tight corners. So we're probably going to see a lot of bumping and banging here tonight, and I'm excited to watch the fireworks.
I am too, as we get ready to roll into qualifying. It is going to be group qualifying, and Kelly, no fault of your own, but this is the first time that we've got to see these guys this season, season 10 for the Upstate Racing League, out here in qualifying, as I've been one of those guys that's been a little bit late to the show.
Yeah, so to kind of bring us all up to speed on the qualifying format, we are going back to the group qualifying that this league used to run. Everyone is split up into groups of 4, and each group will be sent out for 2 laps. Top 16 in the qualifying will immediately advance into the show. Everyone else will go to the LCQ. Another big thing is we do have a invert as well for the main event. So the top 8 will be inverted. So if you want to start on pole, you actually have to qualify 8th. But at the same time, you can't go slow hoping to get 8th, because if you miss and you're outside of the top 16, well, now you've got to race your way in.
Oh yeah, that is one thing that the Upstate Racing League does, is really makes it to where you have no idea exactly how hard you need to push the car, and tends to make you, well, just give it your best effort and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, we got Group 1 rolling right now. It is the 36 of Mark Royer. We've got the 03 of J. Speedy Brissett. We also got, actually that I believe will be all of them, because that car at the end is actually going to be in Group 2. So we're going to see our first times come up on the board here shortly. We'll see what these other drivers are going to have to meet. Mark Royer is going to put up a 15.0, and Brissett will put up a 14.8. And Brissett's actually going to lose it off of 2, so that 14.8 is going to be the best he's going to get. Royer comes across the line, and he is going to improve slightly, but it's only a 14.9.
Mark Royer in the 36 pulling on to pit road. Quick qualifying session for group number 1. 2 cars rolling out for that one. But Kelly, we got another group coming up, and it looks like there's supposed to be about 4 cars per group.
There's supposed to be, but it all depends on who shows up for the night. So we've got Wayne McDuff out there. Also got Devin Johnson. I'm trying to see if we've got anyone else on the track. I don't believe we do. I think it is just those 2 cars once again. Now coming off of turn 4, we'll see what McDuff is able to do. It's going to be a 15.4 for the first lap, so he's going to have to hope for a better second lap. Devin Johnson, though, with a 14.7, so that's going to be our new quick time of the night.
Devin Johnson in the 83 machine, a rookie out here with the Upstate Racing League. And Johnson going to hold on to the top spot for the moment with a 14.796. All right, so our next group of drivers starting to roll out now. And one of those being another rookie. That is Justin Smith in the 45, Kelly.
It looks like Matt Heft, Zach Daniels, Justin Smith all rolling out here. So far, we don't quite know where that bump line is going to be. So these guys just got to put basically as fast of a time down as they can. Going to come across the line now. We'll see what Justin Smith's able to do. That's going to be a 15-0. Looks like this kind of seems like the first lap is just kind of getting those tires up to temperature. It's a bit opposite of what we used to see with this new tire model.
So Smith right now in 5th spot as he crosses the line a little bit sideways. Smith gonna stay in 5th. Matt Heft in the 21 machine, finding himself in 7th place. Zach Daniels also out there in that 30 machine. He's gonna end up in 6th.
Next group looks like it's going to be Brian Rogers, Andrew Plank, and Justin Rigsby.
So the 12 of Brian Rogers making his way out onto this very short Las Vegas Bullring Speedway. 12 right down on the rumble strips there. And Kelly, what can you tell us about the rumble strips where those left side tires are getting really close to hitting?
I mean, that area of the track is actually flat. I don't know if you can tell from your camera angle, but from where I'm sitting, you cannot tell that. But once you get down on the racetrack, that is completely devoid of banking. So it can kind of help you, really. You kind of get one set of tires on that, and it kind of helps rotate the car. But I think you want to keep things planted on the racing surface and on the banking.
New pole sitter, that is Matt Eddy in the 87 machine. Andrew Plank going to post himself up into 3rd. And Justin Rigsby in the 99 machine coming across in 5th place. So another round of qualifying, another group of qualifying done and over with. Kelly, these drivers are really laying down some of these fast laps. One of the things we didn't talk about was the drivers later on in these groups are some of the race winners from last week or the previous weeks.
Yeah, I believe they are running almost essentially an invert of last week. So some of I believe it's of the finishing position of our previous week. So our race winner, Bill Martin, he'll be towards the end in group number 10. So the times are only going to get faster as we go along. As we see Jeremy Carpenter put down a 14.7, not quite enough to catch Matt Eddy. So let's see what he's going to be able to do this time around. And that is not going to be faster.
So Carpenter
14.9.
Yeah, Carpenter with a 14.98 on his second lap, 14.78. Good enough for second spot right now. That is a good run for the 7 machine. But another round of drivers making their way out. One of those being the 51 of Justin Fuller. Jimmy McIntyre in the 81 rolling around to line up as well. And at the end of pit lane, that is the 33 machine of Paul Lacourt. As Paul gets the okay to roll on out. He is the first one here in this next group to roll out onto the speedway. That 33 machine been making some noise here in these first 2 races, but not quite able to cap it off.
He's been able to have some decent results, and he's got himself up in the points to just outside the chase. So He is sitting fairly decent, but would like a good result here tonight. Already a pretty decent time, as we got actually Gareth Gonder getting really close to that fast time, but just not quite able to meet Matt Eddy. And now we are going to start hitting our cutoff now, as Zach Daniels currently sitting in that 16th position with a 15.4. Matt Heft is our first guy to get bumped out of the main event.
Jimmy McIntyre posting up third quickest time for the moment. As you mentioned, our first car to bump out of this one, that is the 21 of Matt Heft. But our next group of drivers rolling out onto the speedway, one of those being the 42 of Brett Bartels and the 88 of Matt McLean, making his way around the track as well.
We also have another fast driver out there with Chris Stump, and you know, always keep an eye on him to be competitive, but here is some very stiff competition here tonight. But everyone just kind of at this moment looking to beat Zach Daniels, and Smith will bump Daniels, or sorry, that'll be Smith is now holding on to that spot. Actually, no, he's going to get bumped as well. Everyone's getting bumped. Now it's down to Brissett. Brissett is now in that bump position as Chris Stump puts a new fast time, as well as Joe Schaefer.
So Joe Schaefer moves up in the second spot. Matt Heft, Zach Daniels, Justin Smith, Colin Phillip, Mark Royer, all kind of out of making it directly into the main show. Speedy Brissett right now holding on to 16th spot.
And it's going to be hard for him to hold on to that, as the drivers are just going to keep coming and keep getting faster. As our next group looking like it's going to contain Guillaume Fortin, Mike Alexander, AJ Rogers, and Al Smith.
So the 13 machine of Guillaume out on the speedway. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we are starting to get into the meat and potatoes. The fastest drivers from the last few weeks starting to roll out for qualifying here, and one of those being the 13 of Guillaume Fortin. And Guillaume right now finding himself across the start finish line, and he is going to post a time all the way up in the second spot.
He had to race his way in last week. And speaking of fast times, Mike Alexander now with the fastest time on the track, 14.569. So he's going to move up to that top spot. But as you're saying, Guillaume Fortin last week had to race his way in. This week will not be that case, as he gets our third fastest time.
Al Smith going to post up in the 6th, and AJ Rogers in the 12th spot for the moment, as we are getting down to the nitty gritty here. Just about 2 groups left, I believe. Next set of drivers looking to make it out on to the speedway. Well, that's Brian Hacker, Justin McDuff, and Bill Martin.
Keeping an eye on Justin McDuff as he comes around now into turns 3 and 4 for his first flying, to finish off his first flying lap. And where is he going to wind up on the leaderboard? Has to beat a 14.795, and he will with a 14.6. That's going to get him into the show. That's going to bump Devin Johnson, as well as now Jeremy Carpenter going to get bumped as another driver across the line. And now our cutoff mark is going to be Paul Lycourt with a 14.744.
Matthew Barkhouse in the 15 machine. Barkhouse going to go across the start finish line. Barkhouse going to post up in the 14th spot. Not the strongest qualifying effort by the 15 machine, but still good enough to put him inside the top 16 for the moment, as our final group starts to roll out.
And this group's got our winner from last week, Bill Martin. It's also got Steph Marinak, our winner from 2 weeks ago. And we've also got, so I think this is actually our second to last group. I believe we got a couple that are going to get tagged onto a one more group. But AJ Hamill leading this group around now, coming off at turn number 4, has to beat a 14.744, and he is 14.570, missing the top time by a thousandth of a second.
Bill Martin moves into third in that 39 machine with a 14.587, but we are watching Stefan Marinak in the 24. His last lap going to be invalidated. Marinak not making it into the top 16.
That is going to be huge. Steph Marinak is going to have to race his way in, and even if he does, he'll be starting the race towards the back of the field. So some bad luck for him to tag that wall on his last lap and invalidate his lap time. Now coming out to our last group, that's going to be Drew Krybick and Mike Rhino.
Rhino in the 34 machine, making his way out as well. So Krybeck moves up into 16th spot. Rhino all the way up to 11th. Rhino gets loose coming onto the backstretch there. That's gonna sacrifice his time, but man, Rhino making it into the show on his first lap.
And Krybick getting in just by the skin of his teeth, getting the last position by 0.003 of a second. So very close for him. Very unfortunate for Justin Fuller, who is going to start pole for the LCQ, but is going to have to race his way in.
All right, so as this night moves on, well, I'll tell you what, Kelly. I don't know about you, but this LCQ's got quite a few big names in it.
And it's something we also saw last week, that there's a lot of big names from our previous seasons that are now having to race their way into our main event, as the strength of this field and the strength of competition here is getting intense. So a lot of these guys, even if they are previous champions like Steph Marinak, they can't be completely guaranteed to make their way in on time. However, Marinak does have a previous champion provisional, so if somehow he doesn't race his way in, he'll still be brought into the main event.
All right, so as the drivers start taking to the grid for this one, let's go ahead and look at our LCQ lineup for our Dr. Noise 125. These drivers are trying to make it into the A main here tonight. Justin Fuller on the inside of row number 1. On his outside, Matthew Barkhouse, all the way from Canada in the 15 machine. Row number 2, AJ Rogers and Paul Lycourt. Row number 3 going to be made up of Jeremy Carpenter in the 7 and the 08 of Devin Johnson. Row 4, Stefan Marinak in the 24 machine and Andrew Plank in the 64. Row number 5 going to be Brian Rogers and Justin Rigsby.
Row number 6, we're going to see the 1 of Wayne McDuff, and on his outside, starting 12th, the 03 of J. Speedy Brissett. Row number 7, we're going to see the 36 of Mark Royer and the 53 of Colin Phillip, who's actually going to be starting from the pits. Row number 8, we'll see Justin Smith and Zach Daniels. Row number 9 will be Matt Heft and Andy Lambert.
As the field gets ready to rock and roll here in our LCQ, Justin Fuller in the 51 machine in pole position. On his outside, Matthew Barkhouse. Barkhouse, one of the drivers who was running at the front of the field the entire race last time around. Here he is trying to fight through the LCQ. Green flag is out. The 51 of Fuller gets a good jump, has the race lead going into 3 and 4.
Crash off of turn 2. That's going to involve Justin Rigsby and J. Speedy Brissett, so that will put a pause on everything, because caution laps will not count here in the LCQ. There are 2 cars that are going to be moved to the back of the field, and that's going to be the 99 and the 03.
So the 03 of Brissett not yet being able to make it into the A main of one of these shows, but man, he shows up every week and he puts out the best effort he can. And now he's set behind the 8 ball once again, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely an uphill climb for him to try to reach that top 8. As I said, top 8 will move on, and then after that, the top 2 in the point standings that did not make their way into the race will be brought in as provisionals, and if need be, there will be a champion provisional for Steph Marinac, but as things run right now, that will not be required for that 24 machine.
So Marinac in the 24 sitting pretty right now. That doesn't mean a whole lot. Kelly, you know as well as I do, racing is a he's a fickle mistress. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Anything can go wrong, and there, like I said, he does have that safety net, but he only gets that once in a season. So if he uses that tonight, next week misses out and has some bad luck, well, now he's going to miss that race because he only gets in once. So he's going to have to try to keep that safety net, try to race his way in, and he's kind of sitting close to that bump line, starting in 7th place.
I don't know about you, Kelly, but if you look at YouTube chat, behind for 17 hours has really made a good observation. Andrew Plank win is already confirmed due to the fact that 69 minus 64 is 5, and Kyle Busch is drove in the 5 car before and he's won a lot of races.
Don't know if I can dispute that, so I guess I'll just have to believe him, but cars are now stacking up as the pace car finally shuts its lights off, and we are going to get ready to go back rolling on our LCQ here, as we are still only on lap number 1 with the caution laps not counting.
All right, so the 51 of Fuller on the inside, Barkhouse on the outside. That's your front row. Then it's AJ Rogers and Paul LaCourte in the 33. Here we go. Green flag coming out as our first round of caution here in the ALCQ. Draws to a close. 14 laps left to go in this one.
And that 51 jumping out to a good solid lead, and looking at that 24 of Steph Marinac, he's working his way through that inside line. Already made his way up to the door of that 7. A caution is going to come out again, as right before Marinac is actually able to make that pass stick. We'll have to see who it was. Looks like Zach Daniels, one of the cars involved.
So too is the 64 of Andrew Plank. Unfortunately, it looks like this is not going to be a win confirmed just yet. He's going to have to work through the field to get this one done. G Fuel on the side of that red, white, and blue machine. But several cars getting caught up in this one, and it starts with the 36 going down to the bottom. Makes contact with the 64. They go 3 wide with the 1 machine of Wayne McDuff, and then Calamity behind them.
Now Justin Fuller picking up the pace car. Quick look through our top 8, our transfer positions. Fuller leading, Barco 2nd, Rogers 3rd, Carpenter 4th, Marinac 5th, Brian Rogers Jr. 6th, Lycourt 7th, and the 08 of Devin Johnson is holding our last transfer spot in 8th place.
So Justin Smith in the 45 machine. First car on the outside looking in. Right behind him, that is the 1 of Wayne McDuff and the 8 of Andy Lambert. Those drivers, all well accomplished drivers here in the Upstate Racing League, but right now it looks like they may not be able to make the main show.
We still have a lot of time left because there is 20 laps in this LCQ, and with the caution laps not counting, we are only on lap 3, going to be going on to lap 4 once we go green again. So they do have a lot of time to make up that ground, and it's only a couple positions, so those guys are going to have to focus on just getting a good start on this next restart and trying to take those last couple spots and get themselves into the show.
So as the lights continue to remain on with the Ford Mustang pace car, Justin Fuller in the 51, still your race leader. He has been able to hold off the 15 of Matthew Barkhouse so far, but now the lights go out and we're going to see these two who have been on the front row for every restart, including our first start, go at it once again.
have to keep an eye on those cars behind them. There are some very fast drivers itching to improve their starting position for the main event, but they got to be careful. Now coming off the corner, the 51 going to jump as soon as he gets into that restart zone. Fantastic start from him. He's going to get into a good lead. That 15 of Barkow is able to hold off enough that he's able to slip back down in front of the 17, and just behind that 17, he's got the 24 of Steph Marinak banging in that rear bumper, trying to make his way around. Looking back towards our transfer spot, Devin Johnson trying his best to hold on to it. Wayne Duff got a little loose behind him and loses out. Oh, contact with the one, he's around.
Wayne McDuff going around in the one machine. Caution flag coming out. The 64 of Andrew Plank still getting sideways. We're going to take another look at this one. Wayne McDuff sideways. Speedy Brissett right there as well. Andrew Plank and Daniels getting, getting hard on the binders. Zach Daniels maybe might have the best shot of this incident. Let's take another look from his point of view here. I can key it up as we are on board with Zach Daniels. Cars all over the place, and Daniels trying to ride his way through.
Yeah, having to just lock them up entirely and pretty much coming to a stop, but he's somehow able to snake his way through that. Still got a little bit of damage to the front end from, I believe, a previous incident, but for the most part, that could have been a lot worse.
So back under yellow we go. Still quite a few laps left in this LCQ, and it has been a topsy-turvy LCQ as these drivers really are trying to lay down. I shouldn't say lay down, but the guys at the back here who know that they are not making their way forward, there's some speed back there, and they feel like they need to be in front of this thing. So we got some issues going on here.
Yeah, as I mentioned, this is a very tight racetrack, and it can be a little close quarters. So these guys at the back are just pushing as hard as they can, trying to make their way into the show, but it's just causing a few incidents here, and hopefully we can kind of clean these up and get through the rest of this LCQ. However, there is a time limit to the LCQ, and I think we're going to start getting close to hitting that. There is a 15-minute time limit, and we're now rolling up to 11 minutes elapsed, so I think this is going to be a time-based race now.
Oh man, a whole nother round of, well, I won't say strategy because nobody needs to come down pit road in this LCQ, but just another thing to have these drivers try and worry about.
It's something that they're gonna have to keep in mind and shift their focus. If you start looking at the fact that, oh, you know, we still have 15 laps to go when we go green, you're gonna get pipped here because you may kind of lay off, let someone go and think, oh, I've got time to get him back, and then suddenly the caution comes out. But we are going to go green now for the last few minutes of this. Buller getting another great start. Barkow is going to stay on that high line. That's going to allow Rogers to get to that inside. We got another car sideways. Looks like the 99. He's going to hold on to it, though, and we are going to stay green.
So Fuller in the 51, pulling away. AJ Rogers in the 17 machine, trying really hard to work on the inside of the 15 of Matthew Barkhouse, but the yellow flag going to come out. Colin Phillip in the 53. Looks like he's going to be involved in this one. Contact between him and the 36 is going to send the 53 around.
Yeah, that was initially caused by the 33 stopped on the apron. Lycourt was stopped in the apron, and Royer was just kind of cruising on the apron after getting involved in a bit of an incident, and then suddenly he comes around this corner as a car stopped in front of him. He tries to go around, and unfortunately he's got two cars to his outside and tags Phillip.
As we watch the 33 of Lycourt get bumped by the 83, and around he goes. So a lot of different issues going on out there. And man, this LCQ just seems to be plagued with problems of green flag laps.
Only on lap 7 now, and only 2 minutes left. We'll have to see if the caution is going to be able to be finished within these last 2 minutes. See if we can get any more green flag racing in, but it is pretty much confirmed now that this will not go on laps.
So Justin Fuller, your race leader in the 51 machine. The only car to lead more laps than him is the pace car so far here in this LCQ. Has been a rough go for sure. Barkhouse finding himself in second. AJ Rogers in the 17 machine sitting third. Steph Marinac fourth. Brian Rogers Jr. in the 12 going to round out the top 5.
And going over the rest of our transfer positions, Jeremy Carpenter is currently sitting 6th. Justin Smith in 7th, and our last transfer spot, that's the 99 of Justin Rigsby, who is, as I mentioned, he got sideways there on that last green flag run and nearly lost it, but was able to hang on, and not only hang on to his car, but kind of hang on to his transfer spot at the moment.
Couple cars off the lead lap. That is Andy Lambert, Colin Phillip, and Wayne McDuff. So tough a break for those drivers here as we are closing in on the end of this thing. One of the things I always say, Kelly, is as long as you're on the lead lap, you got a shot at winning.
Yeah, they may have a shot at transferring. We are going to get a one-lap shootout, it appears. Pace car is now down and away. There's only 20 seconds left on the timer. We'll see who's going to be able to transfer, who's not. Justin Fuller coming off of turn 4. He's going to get the green. He's going to launch, and everyone's going to scramble for those last transfer positions. Fuller's going to hold on. Rogers trying to get to the inside of Barkhouse. He's going to go door to door now down the back straightaway. Steph Marinac's got to run, but nowhere to go. Now coming off of turn number 4. Once again, I believe they are going to get the white flag this time. This should possibly be the end of it, or we may get another. We'll have to see what they decide on the timer. And Fuller getting a great run. He's starting to pull away from these guys as Marinac trying to find his way around Barkhouse.
So Fuller in the 51 machine out in front. My timing and scoring is showing 11 laps to go. So maybe we're going to try and get this race in here. As Fuller continues to lead, Marinac has moved into second spot. Matthew Barkhouse third, AJ Rogers fourth, Brian Rogers 5 spots. He's in the 5th spot is really what I'm trying to say.
Looking back at our transfer spot, though, that's the 99 of Justin Rigsby. He's trying his best to hold on to it. The 03 of Speedy Brissett trying to race his way in, and now Rigsby trying to maybe improve his position, get himself a bit of a insurance spot there as he goes to the inside of the 44 into turn 1. Not going to quite get it. Oh, almost makes a little bit of contact with that 45 machine, but they are going to keep it straight and tidy.
Speedy Brissett in the 03, the first car on the outside looking in. He would love nothing more than to try and find the way to gain one more spot, as he is right there on the back bumper of the 99. We got 6 more laps to go. And that 03 trying to do all he can to make it into the show.
And he's trying his best there, but loses a bit of ground at the 99 through turns 1 and 2 this time around. Gonna see if he can close up through 3 and 4. Rigsby keeping that car nice and tidy. He's starting to open up a bit of a gap, but can't quite get to that 45 of Justin Smith, and I'm sure he would love to make that pass just to have a bit of a buffer between him and that cutoff spot. But Brissett just trying his best to claw his way back up to the rear bumper of that 99.
So Justin Fuller gonna pick up the win here in the LCQ. Marinac second, Barkhouse third, AJ Rogers fourth, Brian Rogers fifth, 6th goes to Jeremy Carpenter, and I couldn't read the rest of that running order before it disappeared.
Brian Rogers 5th, Jeremy Carpenter 6th, Justin Smith 7th, Rigsby 8th, Brissett 9th, Plank 10th, Johnson 11th, Royer 12th, Lycourt 13th, Daniels 14th, Heft 15th, Phillip 16th, 17th goes to Lambert, and Wayne McDuff in 18th. Still waiting on word on who's going to be our provisional transfers, who's going to get in on points. But for the moment, those top 8 that did finish in the LCQ are going to move on.
With that being said, guys, we are going to step away for a quick minute. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
KABANG Energy Candy contains 100% of vitamins B6, B12, and C plus ginseng. And the best part is, no caffeine. KABANG Energy Candy is sold everywhere, including participating Walgreens. KABANG Energy Candy, it's bangalicious.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by M&M Country Store, Dr. Noise Custom Paint and Diecast, Coach's Corner, KABANG Energy Candy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the drivers are in the final warm-up session for the Dr. Noise 125 right here on the Turn 3 Racing Network. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. And Kelly, the 10th season of the Upstate Racing League, kind of living up to everything we expect out of these guys.
Yeah, all the racing has been intense and exciting. Hopefully this feature race will be just like the two races. I can't say 2 weeks because we did have a off week last week. So these last 2 races have been some great races. However, they've always kind of had 2 different winners, but both these wins have been extremely dominant. The leader has gotten the lead early on and has not looked back. And actually last race, it was pretty much led from flag to flag by Bill Martin. So we'll have to see what's going to go on this week, if someone can maybe kind of take the fight to the leader and see if we'll have a battle for the lead, or if someone's just going to run away with things again.
As the drivers continue this warm-up, just about 1 minute left in this warm-up session. Bill Martin in the 39 machine, one of the drivers who picked up a win here so far in the first 2 races this season, finding himself 4th quickest in this warm-up session. Chris Stump right behind him, another driver who has made some noise here in the Upstate Racing League, still looking for that first win this season. Al Smith Jr. in the 96. He's the boss of the Upstate Racing League, so of course we got to mention him. But we're going to go ahead and step away for one more break, mostly because we have to go purge ourselves after talking about Al. We'll be right back after this.
Bowling brings people together.
Right down the middle. You got it. Uh-oh. Good job.
See what you can do, man.
Wait.
That's a strike right there.
Woo!
Connect with family and friends. Go bowling.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Best Colorful Creations, the official cake supplier of the Upstate Racing League, Carpenter's Tax Service, SUNY's Country Market,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the drivers are starting to take to the grid here for this one. Let's go ahead and get right into our starting lineup for tonight's Dr. Noise 125. Row number 1, the 87 of Matt Eddy on his outside, the 6 of Joe Schaefer. Row number 2, Brian Hacker in the 11 machine, and Guillaume Fortin in the 13. Row number 3, that's going to be the 98 of Chris Stump and Bill Martin. Row 4, AJ Hamill, Mike Alexander. Row number 5, well, that's the 20 of Justin McDuff and the 96 of Al Smith Jr.
In row number 6 on the inside, we will see the 34 of Mike Rhino, and on his outside, the 42 of Brett Bartels. Row number 7 sees the 181 of Gareth Gonder and the 81 of Jimmy McIntyre. Row number 8 is the 88 of Matt McLean on the inside and Drew Krivik on the outside in the 112. Row number 9 is the winner of our LCQ, Justin Fuller. He'll be starting in the 17th, and on his outside, Steph Marinak. Matthew Barkhouse will be rolling off in row number 10 on the inside in car number 15, and on his outside in car 17 will be AJ Rogers.
Matthew Barkhouse, Brian Rogers making up the next row. Then it's Justin Smith and Justin Rigsby. That's the 45 and 99. And then our final 2 drivers, that is Paul LaCour and Andy Lambert, bringing up the final 2 spots here tonight for this one as the drivers make their way around.
Pace car down and away. Matt Eddy just waiting on that green flag. And we are green for the Dr. Noise 125, but that 6 of Joe Schaefer going to get a better start. Beat him into turn number 1, so Matt Eddy immediately losing the race lead, and Joe Schaefer trying to run away with it. Guillaume Fortin making a charge on that outside line, though. He's going to try to go for second place. Car goes around. That looks to be the 11 of Brian Hacker.
Brian Hacker has gone around. Several other cars get involved. Let's take another look at this one real quick. The 11 machine was sitting in a 4th spot. He's going to get a little tap from the 98. Everyone tries to scramble, but as short, as sweet as this track is, everyone kind of ran out of room.
I think we had another crash behind. We did have another crash going into turn 3 just behind them. I just noticed that while watching the replay. It looks to be the 88 and the 12, possibly helped along by the 24. It looks like the 24 maybe got into the back of that 12 machine, sent him spinning down into Matt McLean, and that launched Matt McLean up the racetrack. So 2 kind of accidents happening at the same time there.
Either way, the 6 of Joe Schaefer making his way to the front of this thing with a great start. Matt Eddy dropping to 3rd. Guillaume in the 13 going to slide himself up into 2nd spot. So already seeing some changes at the front of this field from our qualifying efforts.
Yeah, Schaefer just had a fantastic start. Looks like Eddy just kind of got caught sleeping by when the green flag was going to come out. Schaefer was watching that LCQ, knew when the green was going to come, hit the gas right on time, and got a great run down the front straightaway into turn 1.
So the Ford Mustang out in front of the field. Gonna go one more time around before the lights come out. Couple things to talk about here for tonight's Dr. Noise 125. Well, we are at the Bullring. Beautiful night for racing, 79 degrees for our temperature. That's Fahrenheit, Kelly, not that communist C that you guys up in Canada measure with.
I mean, pretty much everyone else uses.
Listen, of the people who have been to the moon, yeah.
You know they use metric at NASA, right?
But listen, potato, it's not important. But otherwise, some spectacular racing. Last week's top 3 finishers: Bill Martin, Matthew Barkhouse, Steph Marinak from our Racing Designs 125. But here we go, the Dr. Noise 125, getting ready to fire back off once again, Kelly.
Joe Schaefer going to be able to go when he wants once they hit the restart zone, so he'll have a bit of an advantage, and he's going to get on the the loud pedal and get a great jump out in front of Guillaume Fortin. Guillaume, though, going to keep charging after him, going to get right back onto his bumper through turns 1 and 2. And he's going to stay glued to that 6 car. Behind them, everyone's scrambling for position. Looks like Chris Stump trying to find his way around the 87, but he's going to be still door to door. The 87 Matt Eddy with Bill Martin on that outside line. Is we're kind of seeing both the inside and the outside having kind of, at the moment, similar strengths. Maybe the inside slightly faster as that 87 gets ahead of 39. Oh, nearly loses it.
So the 98 got into the 39 just a touch, but everyone able to keep rolling. Mike Alexander in the 75, now pulling along the outside lane of the 98 at Chris Stump. And man, these drivers, now that they are starting to spread their legs a little bit, a lot of them have just turned their best lap of the race.
And now a bit of a gap forming between the top two of Joe Schaefer and Guillaume Fortin and the 87 of Matt Eddy. Look, about half a second at the moment between those two groups of cars, and Guillaume Fortin actually is almost half a second behind Schaefer. Schaefer is putting down some extremely quick laps. I think he was he was the fastest actually in practice, so you kind of got to keep an eye on him. Try not to let him get away, and that's kind of what Guillaume is struggling to do right now.
We ride on board with Guillaume in the old shed onboard camera, looking out the front of his machine at the 6 of Joe Schaefer. And, you know, that clean air for the 6 machine seems to be treating him very nice. But Guillaume hanging tough right there in second spot. He's not letting Schaefer get too far away, but, you know, Kelly, you know as well as I do, these short track races, if you're not right on the back bumper of somebody, you're not in position to pass them.
Yeah, you have to be right on top of the other driver to be able to make any sort of move. And even looking at the front, that not even half a second, and that probably looks like an eternity between those two drivers. As now just behind them, we've got a battle for position. Bill Martin's got to the inside of the 87. He is going to make that move, and he is not quite actually going to make it stick. It's a little wobbly through 1 and 2, but that 87 ends up shooting up the racetrack. That's going to cost him, as the 98 of Chris Stump is also going to make his way through.
Matt Eddy in the 87 machine, losing a couple of spots here as the yellow flag is going to fly. I believe the 12 of Brian Rogers going to be flagged by iRacing for bringing out this caution. Let's see what happens. Rogers gonna get into the back of the 8. Brian Hacker gets into the back of him. Lambert, Rogers, and Hacker all conspiring against each other to bring out this caution flag.
And that almost looks like the 8 kind of got on the brakes maybe a little early, or at least earlier than Rogers was expecting, because everyone just kind of plowed into the back there as soon as the 8 got on the binders. And I can't say if he got on the brakes early or not. I don't really have enough experience with the braking markers, but at least it was earlier than the 12 was expecting.
I will say that 8 machine looks like maybe it broke loose halfway down the back stretch. It looked like it started rotating. I don't want to try and put myself in that driver's position, but that car did look awkward heading into the corner.
And that could definitely be possible. I mean, these things do have a lot of power. You can break those rear wheels loose with your right foot, so you do have to be careful getting around these racetracks, especially ones like this where you're coming out of such a tight corner and your gearing is so short to just kind of accelerate you and blast you out of that corner, and you put a little too much power to those rear wheels and they will break loose on you.
As the field is bunched up behind the Ford Mustang once again, Joe Schaefer in the 6, looking to pick up his first win of this season. And Schaefer still trying to rebound from I won't say the best of races here at Iowa in our opening race, but Joe Schaefer well down the running order as we look at our points coming into tonight. Steph Marinac, your points leader with 144 points. Trey Edson right behind him in second, but Edson not making it here to the Bullring at Las Vegas. Justin McDuff came in third. AJ Hamill enters tonight's race fourth in the point standing, and rounding out your top five, well, that's Mike Alexander in the 75 machine, and Mike Alexander finding himself in fifth place right now.
Well, as the lights go on the pace car, before we get back green, we'd like to tell you that tonight's race is brought to you by Dr. Noise Custom Paints and Diecast, the custom diecast supplier of the Upstate Racing League. Make your iRacing ride into a high-end replica, contact them, and say the URL sent you.
Pace car out of the way, Joe Schaefer in the 6. Well, he's going to grab him some of that left foot pedal, and away we go once again. Schaefer out in front, the 13 of Guillaume
crash.
Trying to get away, but it is not going to work. That yellow flag comes out just as quick as that green flag. And we got a big one here. Let's take a look at this one.
Starts with the 181 of Gareth Gonder coming off of turn 4. Looks like he may have just... Oh, that almost looks like a shifter problem, as looks like he got on the loud pedal, and as soon as he tried to get into his next gear, it just didn't go. And with everyone being all stacked up, there was just no time for him to get out of the way, and it just caused a huge accident that completely blocked the front straight.
If I'm going to do some quick counting there, it looks like there is more than 2 cars involved.
There's quite a few cars involved. Let's see. There's a car on its side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a lot of them.
So several cars getting involved in this one. And one of the things we haven't talked about, Kelly, is, you know, these drivers don't have fast repairs. They don't have a whole lot of opportunity. In fact, they're not even allowed to take tires here tonight at the Bullring.
They are not allowed to take tires, and that could definitely affect these guys that just spun because they're going to lock them up, wear off a bit of those tires, and not have any opportunity to change them. And really, their only opportunity for damage repairs as well is just come down to pit road and just kind of hope that their crew can bang out some dents. And one lucky thing, it is short track racing. Aerodynamics aren't a huge thing, so you can get away with a little bit of damage here. It's not going to completely ruin your night, but if you maybe knock the toe out on a tire, that is definitely going to affect you.
So a couple cars making their way onto pit lane. One car that is not on the lead lap, Kelly, I don't know if you've seen this, and it may come as shock to you. Our points leader, Stefan Marinak, finding himself 1 lap down.
Yeah, he was just involved in that last accident, got himself turned around, and that is going to bring him a lap down. However, we do have lucky dogs here, so if another caution does come out, he can get himself back on the lead lap, at least in his current position. And hopefully that does happen, and we can get him back into this race. But hey, our restarts are now going to be single file, and lights are out on the pace car. Pace car now ducking down to pit road.
Joe Schaefer once again back in control of this field as we're coming around to complete lap 28 of 125. Schaefer gonna hold him up just a little bit and gets a good restart. The 13 of Guillaume got caught napping on that one. Now the 13 has to close that gap up and dig hard down the backstretch.
You also got to worry about the 39 right on his rear bumper. Bill Martin is a fast driver. We saw last week when he led from flag to flag. Sorry, 2 weeks ago at our last race, he led from flag to flag, and now he is trying to get himself back up to the race lead. He started off the season with an early wreck at Iowa, but he has been fighting back ever since, and now right on the bumper of that 13 machine.
We ride on board with the 39 as he's going to make the move down to the inside. The battle for second place heats up, and Bill Martin in that 39 machine going to pull off the pass and move into second spot.
That's going to be a nice clean pass for that 39. Just got the run off the corner, made his move, and Guillaume had to try to hold on the outside, but there wasn't anything going on there. And now he has to worry about the 98 behind him as Bill Martin sets off on his task of catching the 6th Joe Schaefer.
You mentioned the 98 of Chris Stump. He finds himself in a 4th place, but Mike Alexander in the 75, well, he is hounding that back bumper of the 98 machine. Alexander has a little bit of time between himself and Matt Eddy, As keep in mind, Matt Eddy started this race at the front row. He has fallen back just a little bit since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, he has currently found himself in 6th place and trying to work his way back up towards the front. However, didn't start on pole from having the quick time. That quick time actually ended up going to Mike Alexander, the car in front of him. But he did have the 8th fastest time, and with the invert got to start on pole, now trying to hold off AJ Hamill, who himself is trying to keep that 20 of Justin McDuff behind him.
McDuff in the 20 machine, a winner here with the Upstate Racing League. What that means? Well, that 18's got to be sweating bullets, but AJ Hamill no slouch behind the wheel himself.
And now Hamill all over that rear bumper of the 87, just filling the rear view mirror for Mike Eddy. And he is just putting on a ton of pressure, but just needs to kind of work on a good corner exit here. I think that's going to be really the key to making any sort of pass, is just getting a better corner exit than the other guy, getting a good launch, get your nose to that inside and take away the inside line from him.
So as the 18 of AJ Hamill continues to roll around in 7th, Al Smith finding himself right here in 9th place in that 96 machine. And then rounding out your top 10, well, that is the beautiful black and gold 42 machine of Brett Bartels.
Yeah, Bartel's putting on a ton of pressure onto that 96 himself, but I think Smith is just trying to focus on what's in front of him. Kind of knows that as long as he holds on to that inside line, he'll hold on to the position. Just behind them, though, we got another good battle of Fuller and Rhino. Fuller nearly kind of losing that position on the previous corner to Rhino. He kind of came off the bottom line on the apex, but was able to get a good enough launch off the corner to take away the inside line once again, as Rhino still trying to put some pressure on, though.
That 34 machine hounding past champion Justin Fuller in the 51. Fuller, even though he has a past championship, he had to make his way through the LCQ here tonight. But good news for him, he has made his way forward. He has gained 6 positions since the start of the race, but the yellow flag coming out, and I don't know what happened. So let's take a look and see if we can figure this one out.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find it as well. Looks like it's going to be Paul Lycourt possibly getting into the 88, getting sideways through turns 1 and 2, and kind of trips the caution before he was actually able to get away from that. He actually did save that car, so the iRacing flagman just a little twitchy on that one and throws the caution.
The Lycourt in the 33 machine with a heck of a save. I mean, I'll tell you what, that is a tough situation to be in sideways here at the Bullring. Lycourt just caught that thing and just kind of made it look pretty.
Yeah, nice little slide, but I think it's going to be something that he's not going to want, because as mentioned, that will wear off those tires quite a bit, and those tires cannot be replaced here. The set of tires you start on is the set you are going to finish with, so you have to kind of conserve them throughout the whole entirety of this race.
26 drivers started the race here tonight. Drew Krybeck, well, he is pulled behind the wall for the moment. We'll see if he can get back out there in the 112 machine. Matt McLean 1 lap down. Steph Marinac in the 24 machine, our points leader, just got the lucky dog. He is going to end up back on the lead lap, giving us a total of 24 cars on the lead lap here in this race.
Yeah, and looking at his car, I mean, he was a lap down, but I think that was pretty much purely because he got stuck behind everyone on that that caution that completely blocked off the front straight. As I'm looking at his car, he's only got a little bit of damage to that front end, and I think he's still got a fast race car with him.
We'll see if last season's champion, not only last season's champion, but the points leader coming into tonight, is going to have anything for this field now that he is back on the lead lap. But the lights have gone out on the Ford Mustang. Joe Schaefer, Bill Martin going to start on the front row for this restart. Row number 2, that's the 13 of Guillaume Fortin and the 98 of Chris Stump. Here we go. Schaefer in the box. He wastes no time getting right to the throttle. Bill Martin kind of anticipated that very nicely. He's going to slide in right behind that 6 machine.
And he's going to keep on top of that 6. Just behind them, though, Fortin is going to be battling with that 98, trying to take away that 3rd position. He's going to hold on to it. Now Mike Alexander getting himself involved in there, and that 98 has got to find his way down to the bottom. He will find a spot right in front of AJ Hamill before he gets completely blocked off on the freight train. Car is still side by side behind them. Al Smith holding off the inside line. Matt Eddy trying to avoid losing any more positions as he finds himself continuing to move back. Now in 9th place, as he's going to lose out to that 96 of Al Smith possibly. He's still holding on, but it is not going to work for him. That inside line is too dominant. He's going to lose out, and now trying to battle off the 51 of Justin Fuller, and the 87 has got to find a way to get to the bottom of the racetrack, and there he is. He's finally going to slot in front of the 11 of Hacker.
So Eddie in that 87 machine, who started on the front row due to the invert, finds himself running in 10th spot right now, but right behind him, that's a car that's been through quite a few incidences. That's the 11 of Brian Hacker. Hacker sitting in 11th spot. Mike Rhino right behind him in the 34. And right before this most recent caution, we were talking about the 34 of Mike Rhino.
Yeah, now Rhino going to make a move, or going to try to maybe follow through with Hacker. As Hacker's now to the inside of that 96 Al Smith. Smith has got himself on that high line and does not want to be there as he is losing out. But someone I got to mention just in front of them are the winner of our LCQ, Justin Fuller. He won the LCQ, but that meant he only started in 17th. He's now got himself all the way up into 8th. So our big mover so far.
Yeah, Fuller really making some progress forward. Marinac and Fuller really didn't have the qualifying sessions that they would like to have, and so they had to make their way through the LCQ. Fuller has had a better charge through the field after qualifying out of the LCQ than Stefan Marinac. And speaking of the 24, we'll go ahead and check in on him. That 24 machine finding himself still running in a 22nd spot. Not necessarily making his way forward just as fast as he would like. He is still out there, still has a good shot at this thing, as we're still, we're kind of creeping up on the halfway point.
And looking back up to the front, we got Schaefer and Martin kind of breaking away from the rest of the pack, opening up over half a second of a gap between them and Guillaume Fortin, but Martin just not quite able to get to the rear bumper of Schaefer.
Bill Martin in the 39, last week's race winner, trying to make it 2 in a row, but he has got to deal with the 6 of Joe Schaefer. Schaefer picking up quite a few good laps here, has put himself out in front. And well, Kelly, if you remember last season, anytime that 6 got out in front, it was quite the challenge for anyone to wrestle that lead away from him.
Yeah, he was pretty quick last season with 5 wins to his name, and he's and out of the 16 races, he finished top 5 10 times. So he is a very quick driver and does have some speed underneath him, and depending on the track can put on a very dominant performance. And tonight seems to be one of those tracks, as he has led every single lap so far with his fantastic start, 2nd place, kind of taking away the lead in turn 1, and has held on to it ever since. And now caution is out once again. Looks to be the 12, the 17. Oh, it's a lot of cars again.
Looks like it's going to start with the 15 and the 99. Rigsby's going to go around, block up the track just a little bit. Everyone trying to scramble to find somewhere to hide, maybe not to get involved. We'll take one more look at this one. You can see 4 or 5 cars getting involved. and then everyone trying to roll and get back going the right direction. But Joe Schaefer is your race leader, and with that being said, guys, we're going to step away for a quick minute. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Bowling brings people together.
Right down the middle. You got it. Uh-oh. Good job.
See what you can do, man.
Wait.
That's a strike right there. Connect with family and friends. Go bowling.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Eddie's Meat Market. Nobody beats Eddie's Meat. Hanson Starter Shop. Racing Designs. CEG Dealer School. Train, play, consult.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the lights have gone out on the Ford Mustang. Driver's going to stack up 2 by 2 for this restart. Joe Schaefer, Bill Martin, row number 1. Row number 2, that's Guillaume Fortin. In the 13, Mike Alexander. In the 75, Joe Schaefer. In the 6, going to lead this field around. He hits the restart box, and he wastes no time as soon as he gets in those lines to stamp on the throttle and pull away with the race lead. Bill Martin in hot pursuit in that 39 machine.
Yeah, it looks like Schaefer just didn't quite get the roll through. Oh, big problems for the 75. He gets tagged, goes sideways. He's going to get straightened out, but the caution will fly as a few more cars get turned around. Looks like the 18 of AJ Hamill will get completely spun around, and we're going to be under caution once again.
Take another look at this one. Brett Bartel's going to come in as everyone checks up. You see AJ Hamill sideways in the 18 machine. Take another shot here at this one. As there was a lot to break down. The 98 of Chris Stump, the 75 of Alexander, going to appear to start this whole chain reaction. And again, another product of just some close, hard, short track racing.
Yeah, it was a huge mess in the field as Alexander kind of got sideways. He was able to recover, though, but unfortunately, Hamill got tagged and turned around. It looks like he will get his spot back, though, because the caution had flown before he got turned. So Hamill is back up to 18, or sorry, 5th. He is in the 18 car. I was just kind of looking at that number, and that was the number that came to mind. We'll have to see when the pace car is going to shut its lights off, though.
Oh, we got plenty of time for a nap before that pace car. It's just a Ford Mustang. It's doing the best it can. 17 machine of AJ Rogers, your lucky dog. He's going to end up back on the lead lap. That's going to give us 25 drivers on the lead lap. In fact, that is everyone that is still out there. Only one car out of this race so far. That is Drew Krybax, as he is the only one out of this race. He will be scored in 26th spot. So an early exit for the 12 machine. Unfortunately for him, he is already packed up and headed for next week.
Looks like lights are out on the pace car. We will be doing a single file start this time.
Pace car down and away. Joe Schaefer in the 6. Gonna try and pick this one up once again. This time he's going a little bit higher than he has before. But again, right as soon as he hits the box, green flag comes out and he gets right into the throttle. The 75 of Mike Alexander trying to work over the 13 of Guillaume. That's a battle for third. And you mentioned AJ Hamill in the 18 getting his spot back after getting sideways. He's got some damage on the left side of that machine.
Yeah, let's see if that's going to have any effect on him. Hopefully he'll be okay. I mean, aerodynamics are not important at a track this short, just over a third of a mile. And he is going to be trying to keep on that battle. And it looks like, for the most part, at least it seems from an outside view like the car is fine. I don't know if he maybe feels like it's a little tight on the inside, but at least it's passing the eye test for the time being.
So Hamill in the 18, finding himself in 5th spot. But that 51 machine, I feel like we've seen him in a race here before. I think it was something called the Last Chance Qualifier. But there's no way someone coming from the LCQ could have made his way all the way up into the top 10, almost trying to break into the top 5.
Yeah, he is all over the bumper of that 18, though. He is trying his best to make it into that that top 5. Speaking of cars all over the bumper, is looking up at our leaders. Bill Martin pretty much on the bumper of that 6 car through the corners, and a few times it looked like he was going to make his lunge for the lead, but now Schaefer starting to open up a bit more of a gap and kind of getting himself just out of the reach of Martin in the 39.
Martin in that 39 machine looks like he's able to get into the corner just a little bit better. Schaefer able to match him on corner exit, and that is what is keeping them at the same distance apart lap after lap.
And just behind them, Fortin just kind of hanging on, just watching them, waiting for his opportunity to get in there. And if they start battling up in front of him, he might be able to kind of sneak his way through. And maybe if he saves his tires throughout this part of the race, later on those two might burn their stuff off, but he's got to be able to keep himself within distance.
But as our battle for the race lead includes the top 3, Mike Alexander in a 4th, AJ Hamill, rounding out your top 5 in that 18 machine. Hamill still holding off the 51 of Justin Fuller, but right behind Fuller you got Justin McDuff in the 20 machine. He's sitting in 7th. Brian Hacker in the 11, finding himself in 8th place. And then you have Matt Eddy in 9th.
And a quick check on our series leader. He was kind of sent to the back of the field in a caution earlier on, or kind of got himself caught up in a caution, ended up a lap down, had to get a lucky dog. He's now got himself back up to 13th. So he's essentially gone from 25th, or sorry, I think it was actually 24th. There was another car a lap down. So he was in 24th. He's now in 13th, trying to get himself back into the top 10 to try to save at least a couple points on this race.
Yeah, Steph Marinac in that 24 machine. Laps are starting to wind down to finish this thing out. So that 24 really starting to try and push the issue here a little bit, but still being very cautious as he's going to take a peek to the inside of the 81 of Jimmy McIntyre. McIntyre going to let him have the line, but still gives up a good fight down the front stretch. But heading into turn number 1, it's all Steph Marinac as McIntyre is now stuck in the outside lane. Gareth Gondor on that inside, the 81 machine gonna move by the 81 as well. So 2 81s out there running nose to tail.
And those two are paired up. Again, another quick peek at our front. It has not changed at all. It's almost like the two of them are essentially tied together, as they're not really gaining or losing any ground on one another, but they are starting to pull away from Guillaume, who has found himself about 7/10 back on the pair. But at the same time, Guillaume is a second ahead of Mike Alexander, so he's kind of just on his own little island out there. And to be in 3rd place with no one challenging you, that's not too bad.
Yeah, Guillaume riding around with a little bit of a gap between him and anyone else. That's a nice spot to kind of sit, bide your time. Maybe don't push your equipment so hard as you're not trying to race anybody. You get a good little amount of air across the nose of the car, so you get the downforce you need. So Guillaume sitting pretty right here in third spot. Mike Alexander right behind him. Alexander not feeling too much of a pressure from the 18 of AJ Hamill, but Hamill right there if that 75 gets a little crossed up.
Our leaders here are going to start catching up to some lap traffic. We haven't had a long enough run yet tonight to see them have to deal with traffic, and now they are about to catch the 45 of Justin Smith running in 25th position. We have to see how they're going to deal with it, and the 45 is just going to get out of the way, way out of the way, and caution is going to fly, though, as they start to catch these guys. Not seeing where the caution came out, though.
I believe it's going to be for the 51 of Justin Fuller. Fuller gets into the corner, and Justin McDuff just going to give him a little love tap from the middle of the corner on out, and Fuller not able to hold on to it. And I really think that was McDuff just rolling into the throttle just a hair of a second sooner than what Justin Fuller was ready for.
Yeah, and that is a very low speed section. I mean, you're going through these corners only at about 60 miles an hour, but it's kind of at the point where you're going to be getting back on the throttle. So Fuller was probably just getting onto the throttle, just rolling into it, and just that little tap behind him is enough to just break those rear wheels loose. And at that point, he was just kind of along for the ride. He tried to wrestle it back into control, but just didn't quite work for him. And now he's going to have to find himself back in the field once again and having to work his way up. He started in 17th, was up almost into the top 5, and now he's back to 17th.
So Joe Schaefer continuing to lead. Bill Martin sitting in a second spot as we're inside of 25 laps to go for this one. The 45 machine of Justin Smith going to get his lap back as he had just been passed by the 6 of Schaefer. So that is going to give us 24 cars back on the lead lap.
And he had gotten out of the way, so he didn't hold up the leaders at all. But we'll have to see what's going to happen on this next start. I believe we are still going to remain on the single file starts. So that's probably a good news for Martin. He isn't going to have to worry about getting the jump exactly right to hold off 410. But if he gets a good start, he might be able to keep right on the bumper of Schaefer. We'll have to see what he's going to do, because a couple restarts ago, Schaefer didn't have the best roll through 1 and 2, but I think that was also partly because he was starting on that inside line and just couldn't quite get the arc in that he wanted to. He didn't really start from the outside of the track, because you have to stay in your lane till you cross the start-finish line. So now that Schaefer's kind of got that outside lane off the start, he is going to be able to kind of arc into that corner properly, and it may be kind of difficult for Martin to make that pass.
Lights have gone out on the Ford Mustang, and Kelly, it's heading for pit road for another restart here, as we're going to have 21 laps to go.
At 21 to go as Joe Schaefer way up the racetrack. Gonna have to be careful. He's not going to catch too many marbles now. Gets into the restart box, gets on the throttle, and a fantastic jump for him. Actually gets a huge gap over Martin on that start, and that is going to be a big advantage for him as he heads down the back straightaway.
Schaefer in the 6 out in front, and he has been quite a bit of this race. That 6 machine, very, very solid. The 39, that is Bill Martin. Bill Martin has had to work his way forward just a little bit, and sitting solidly in second position. Guillaume in that 13 machine, holding on to third spot. And again, we're seeing the top 3 try and start to break away from the rest of the field, starting with the 75 of Mike Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander, he's had a fairly decent race so far. Started in 8th place. He was the fastest in qualifying, but has not proven himself to be the fastest in the race just yet. He's sitting in 4th place, and Joe Schaefer showing why he was fastest in practice and has been running just solid laps throughout the entire night. Now opening up a good gap over Bill Martin.
So as Schaefer feels the end of this race coming on, starts to turn on the jets, 16 laps to go. The 6 machine opening up his biggest gap on the 39 so far here tonight. And we're just a handful of laps away from our most recent restart.
Yeah, he's got a huge gap now, half a second to Bill Martin. That's pretty much one of the biggest leads he's had all night, especially over Martin. As soon as Martin got to second place, he has not let Schaefer get away from him, but now he's starting to lose his grip on him as every single lap that gap kind of finds its way to get bigger, and Schaefer's just finding a way to just get more and more out of those tires. You just expect him to be just dropping off entirely at this point. Coming across the line, he's actually faster that lap. He's opening up the gap even more over Martin.
The 33 of Paul Lacourt has hit pit lane, and unscheduled stop for the 33 machine. We'll see if he's going to make it back out onto the track as he does rejoin the racing line. But Schaefer getting to the back of the field here very quickly. That is the 99 of Justin Rigsby just ahead of him.
And Rigsby's going to get out of the way, move high, and allow the leaders to kind of make their way through. Schaefer now going to have to go through the rest of this lap traffic now. It's stuck behind the 45, and this may kind of throw a wrench in the plans of these guys, as may now allow Martin to kind of close up that gap just a little bit.
So as Schaefer comes up on the 33 of Lacourt had, I'm guessing, spun on the pit road or got loose. Tried to pull on the pit lane to save it, and then had to work his way at pit road speed down pit lane because he did not hit his pit stall. He rolled right back out there. Unfortunately, Lacourt now finding himself make it 3 laps down in that 33 machine, as Joe Schaefer in the 6 is looking at 8 more times around this Bullring here at Las Vegas.
And he has led every single lap. He started in second, immediately took the lead into turn 1, and has led every single lap since then. Martin challenged him earlier, but Schaefer has been able to kind of fend him off. Now he's just got a handful of laps to go, and he has got a decent lead as well, 0.6 of a second over Bill Martin. And again, as they cross the line, that gap gets bigger.
Schaefer working his way up to the back bumper of the 12 of Brian Rogers Jr. And now with 5 laps to go, so far all the lap traffic playing nice. With that 6, all it takes is 1 lap driver saying, or maybe not recognizing that the leader has caught up to him. That 39 will be all over his back bumper.
Yeah, the laps are ticking down though, so if something is going to happen, it's going to have to happen soon for Bill Martin to have a chance. And now the 6 getting right up to the bumper. The 12, like you said, there might be a car that may not realize the leader's on him, and it looks like the 12 car is doing just that, as he's getting all in the way of Schaefer. Schaefer trying to find a way around, now going to go to the inside. He's going to get around, but that is going to close up that gap to Martin just a little bit. 2 laps to go.
2 more times around the Las Vegas Bullring for Joe Schaefer. He is trying to pick up his first win of the season. White flag in the hands of the flagman. Now he displays it to the rest of the field. It's the final time around for the 6 of Schaefer into turns 1 and 2 cleanly.
Coming now into turns 3 and 4. Last chance for Martin to hope for something to happen. Nothing does happen. Schaefer comes off the corner, and he will win the Dr. Noise 125 from flag to flag.
So the 6 of Joe Schaefer picking up his first win of the season and doing it in a mighty fine job here at the Las Vegas Bullring, or the Bullring at Las Vegas. Sorry, don't tar and feather me. I said it wrong 2 times now. But the 6 of Schaefer going to burn it down as your race winner.
Yeah, it's a fantastic run from Joe Schaefer, and he also didn't really just run away with it. He had a lot of pressure throughout the whole race, but was just able to kind of ignore all of that and just keep on his line, keep consistent, and is rewarded for that consistency with a nice win.
So as we set up our post-race show, guys, stick around. Nobody go anywhere. We'll be back to talk to our top 3 podium finishing drivers right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are ready to kick off our post-race show. And we're going to start with a driver who finished in 3rd spot, and that is none other than Guillaume Fortin. And Kelly, I believe you've caught up with him.
Yeah, caught up now with Guillaume Fortin. Guillaume, a good, strong finish here tonight. You kind of ran throughout the front pretty much the entire night. And what do you think kind of gave you the speed that you had tonight?
Yeah, honestly, I've been practicing for the last like 2 weeks at this track. Usually I'm really worse at this track. I don't think I've finished inside the top 10 once before, so I'm pretty happy with the results we had. I've been putting like 200 laps of practice here before that race.
And we saw you kind of, have to hold off a few drivers and make a few passes, and seeing throughout the whole field. I mean, how difficult was it to make moves here on the track tonight?
Yeah, it was really hard to make move. It's hard with a new tire model to get a run because you're so tight at the end. I think I'm burned off my right front again this week. So it was really hard to try to make a move on Bill and also defending at the same time without burning a right front. It's a real tight setup up here.
Well, next week we will be going to the home of the Snowball Derby, 5 Flag Speedway. And what are you kind of expecting from that track next week?
I'm really looking forward to Fly a Flag. Usually I run pretty decent there. I think I finished the top 3 last year, so I think I'm gonna have a shot at the win if I can once again qualify in the top 5.
All right, well, hopefully you do qualify in the top 5 again next week. You qualified 4th this week. So before we let you go, though, who would you like to thank for this 3rd place finish tonight?
Yeah, first of all, I have to thank my teammate at 09 Motorsports, also my sponsor, Rumar Vinyl Design and Racing Design, and you guys for broadcasting the event.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us, Guillaume, and hopefully we will hear from you again next week at 5 Flags.
Hopefully. Thank you, guys.
That was driver of the number 13, Guillaume Fortin, our 3rd place finisher tonight. And now moving right along, we'll be going on to Bill Martin, who I believe is going to be caught up with KR Stolfus.
Well, I have caught up with our 2nd place finisher, and that is the 39 machine of Bill Martin. And Bill, you picked up the win at Irwindale 2 weeks ago, last race, as we had an off week, and you finished 2nd here tonight. Solid season shaping up for this 39 machine.
Hey, you've noticed. Thanks. I noticed too. It's going well so far.
Well, I'll tell you what, after you know what, let's not even talk about Iowa, but this 39 machine has really come into its own here, 3rd race of the season.
I don't remember, did we race at Iowa?
No,
nope, I'm pretty sure I didn't make that.
Yeah, you didn't. It's fine.
Didn't I die that day?
Something did. Pretty sure it was your car.
Yeah, I died inside. That's what happened.
Well, anyways, tell us about the Bullring race here tonight.
Well, it went better than I thought it would. I didn't think that I was going to be able to keep up with Joe. He was saving it a little bit, but in the same respect, he's not going to let me stay that close to him without me at least doing something right. And it's been a long time since I've been as fast as Joe. So even though I wasn't quite as fast, I'm still pretty happy with that. And even if I was able to catch him, it would have been a really tough pass because Joe knows that I'm not going to ram into him because he's a teammate. Not that I'm going to run into anybody else, but Joe knows that I'm a little more lenient for him. Probably shouldn't be. He's kind of a jerk.
Well, Bill, that 39 machine really kind of, once it got into second place, it seemed like you were able to hit your stride. Maybe not as fast as the 6 as you would have liked, but still a lot of speed in that 39 machine tonight here at the Bullring. What are your thoughts here on making it through this season and coming away with a championship?
Well, I can hope for less yellows. The yellows kind of killed me in that race. My one chance to pass Joe was if it had stayed green. I think I could have maybe made a run for it, at least given it a shot. But if the rest of the season goes like this, it should be pretty good. What's nice about the front half of the field is everybody is really respectable. Even there was at one point where I got sideways in front of Chris Stump, and he managed to give me enough space to not murder me like he did the last time. This time I screwed up, though. I got loose on the outside and turned my nose across him. But what was nice is everybody up in the front, super respectable, despite the fact everybody's trying to win a championship or even win a race, and everybody up front's capable of winning. So it's just a pleasure to race with everybody.
All right, Bill. Well, for your efforts here tonight, we're going to let you give some shout outs and thank yous. Who do you feel you need to thank for tonight's race?
Anyone who didn't cause a yellow flag today that made the race reset, thank you for not being those guys.
Well, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. Thank you. And the other announcer, I don't think he caused any yellow flags.
I don't think we did. No.
Okay, so you want a serious thank you?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, let's do a serious thing. Thank you to my teammates for joining me in the league, having a good time. Not having to worry about setups is amazing. To just be able to come out and race with everybody. So thanks to the league. Thanks to you guys for doing a great job. I always enjoy going back and watching these broadcasts. And thank you to my fake sponsors on the car, who I will not call out by name because it doesn't matter. They're not watching.
All right, that is your second place finisher, Bill Martin, out here tonight. Once again, congratulations, Bill Martin. And Kelly, I believe you have caught up with our race winner, and that is none other than the 6 of Joe Schaefer.
Caught up now, yeah, with Joe Schaefer. And Joe, got to start with the start of the race. I mean, that was kind of your move to win there. And how did you pull off that fantastic start?
Well, I really think Matt was just sleeping on me, and I watched every restart in the LCQ, and there was enough of them, and I kind of got a feel for where the green flag was going to come out, and I mean, I just timed it. That's really all it was. I got lucky and jumped on it as soon as the lights came on, and that was the difference.
Yeah, that was something I speculated. That was possibly that he watched when the greens came out during the LCQ, and yeah, you launched off there, but your win wasn't kind of a complete walkover, though. You did face a lot of pressure from the 39 of Bill Martin, and how were you able to withstand that pressure and hold him off?
Well, I really trust him. Raced with him a lot, and I know he wouldn't. I know he wasn't going to use the bumper to get around me, and I don't know. He was probably with me for at least half the race, and I tried to mentally focus on keeping the right front on it, not overdriving my entry and responding to the pressure. And then for that last 20 laps or so, I figured it was time to go and stop saving, and I burned up everything I had left, and luckily it was enough.
Well, after the first 2 races of the season not really going your way, how much does it mean for you to finally come back and get a win?
It was a long week, so I'm very happy to have this one. I still feel pretty bad about what I did to Mike Alexander at Irwindale. I was just, I got caught mirror driving, and he was the victim. So hopefully he had a good run tonight. I didn't exactly see where he ended up in the standings, but I'm very happy to have this one, and especially with the chase format in this league. It'd be nice to have a cushion just in case something bad happens down the road, and I need to, and I'm either stuck in the back or wreck myself. Who knows?
Well, you'll be pleased to know that Mike Alexander finished in 4th here tonight.
All right, great. I felt bad last week and didn't really know how to apologize to him because I felt it was all on me and not really something that's excusable. But here we are again, and I think he's in good shape for points, so we'll be all right.
All right, well, next week we'll be moving on to Five Flags, but before we let you go there, who would you like to thank for your first place finish tonight?
Well, thank Drew Krybeck with Epic Media. He's always he's in the race tonight, and he's always a big supporter of everything I do sim racing. And I'll thank Bill Martin too. Dr. Noise Custom Diecast and Designs. He painted my car, and I never give him enough credit for it. Everything he's given me looks awesome.
So that's why he wasn't wanting to use the bumper, didn't want to scratch up the car he painted.
That'd be a good excuse, I think.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us, Joe, and hopefully we'll hear from you again next week at Five Flags.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That was Joe Schaefer Jr., driver of the number 6 car, and our winner here tonight, the Dr. Noise 125, KR.
That it was, and man, this race down and in the books for the Upstate Racing League history buffs. And man, I'll tell you what, the Bullring at Las Vegas lived up to its name, Kelly. And well, I don't know about you, but I mean, it felt like these drivers kind of were causing some cautions, but I don't think no one really lost their temper a whole lot.
I was keeping an ear on the radio. There was a little bit of chatter, but I mean, it's mostly kept down by race control. They know how much these things can kind of spiral out of control. So they try to cool people off and shut things down before they get out of hand. So, but this was kind of what I was expecting. I mean, it is the Bullring at Las Vegas. It's gonna happen. You're gonna have cars bumping into each other. And I think some of these cautions were just gonna happen no matter what. Cautions are kind of just unavoidable at a track like this unless you just completely turn them off and throw them out the window. And it's something to be expected at short track racing, but I think next week at Five Flags, there'll probably be a bit more space on the racetrack, and I think these guys will be able to kind of keep things a bit more consistent.
Well, as we get ready for our next race, let's go ahead and wrap this one up and take a look at tonight's finishing results here at the Bullring for the Dr. Noise 125. Joe Schaefer, your race winner. Bill Martin gonna finish in second. Third place going to Guillaume Fortin. We got to talk to all three of our podium finishing drivers. Rev Racing driver, that's Mike Alexander. He's gonna finish in fourth. And then Brian Hacker, the top finishing driver for Smith Racing Incorporated, gonna end up in fifth spot.
6 is going to see the 18 of AJ Hamill. The big boss man himself, Al Smith Jr., going to come home in 7th. Matt Eddy kind of moving himself backwards. Started first, ended up in 8th. Steph Marinac fights through the field and still comes home in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is going to be the 181 of Gareth Gonder.
Jimmy McIntyre going to finish in 11th spot. 12th goes to Mike Rhino. Brett Bartels 13th, 14th going to Justin Fuller. Jeremy Carpenter finishing in a 15th spot. And Kelly, that's my 15. I guess you got the next 5.
Matt McLean comes home in 16th. Chris Stump 17th. Justin McDuff 18th. Andy Lambert in 19th. And Matthew Barkhouse in 20th.
21st goes to AJ Rogers. Brian Rogers 22nd. 23rd will be Justin Rigsby. Justin Smith finishing 24th. 25th, Paul Lacourt. And Drew Krybeck going to finish in 26th spot here tonight. So that is going to wrap this one up. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And because I'm feeling generous, I'm going to let Kelly sign us out here tonight.
Well, once again, a big thank you for Dr. Noise, Custom Paints, and Diecast. They are the reason we are able to bring this race to you. So go give them a shout out. That is also the driver of the 39, Bill Martin. So if you want your car painted or even turned into a high-end replica, give him a shout and say the Upstate Racing League sent you. So on behalf of everyone here, myself, KR Stolfus, Al Smith, and the rest of the group at the Upstate Racing League, we'd like to thank you so much for coming out and talking to us tonight and enjoying the race. We will see you again next week.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Best Colorful Creations, the official cake supplier of the Upstate Racing League, Carpenter's Tax Service, SUNY's Country Market,